Tēnā tātou katoa. Good evening. Christopher Luxon is keeping the option of working with Winston Peters warm. A necessary move, according to our latest Newshub-Reid research poll.
Both Labor and National have taken a dive while, wait for it, Winston Peters has crossed the threshold. He is coming back to Parliament and his kingmaker crown is sitting atop his head once more. Our political editor Jenna Lynch is here now with the numbers. So Jenna, Winnie's back.
Yes, the kingmaker is back. Winston Peters has clawed his way past the threshold and Luxon's path to power lies in his hands. Chris Hipkins has failed to turn the red ship around. It is still sinking 26.5%, only down 0.3. Anything but up is a catastrophe in the 20s. Nationals had the wind knocked out of its sails to 39.1%, down 1.8, and all acts acting up has crashed their vote a mighty tumble down to the single digits, 8.8%, down 1.3. The Greens picking up what Labor loses, 14.2%, up 1.9. And hold on to your hats, New Zealand First resurrected, 5.2% across the line. Winston Peters is back. Te Pāti Māori's losing momentum, falling down to 2.2, top hot on their tails, 1.9, and New Conservatives 1.1. These three need an electorate seat to make it in. Now, this is where Peters' power really shows. Even with the Greens bringing in 18 MPs, Labor's pitiful 33, along with Te Pāti Māori's 3, assuming they hold their electorate, only get the left bloc to 54. You need 61 and Winston won't go there. Over on the right though, Nationals 49 and Acts 11 only get them to 60. One shy, they need New Zealand First 6. And as the reality of that dawns on Christopher Luxon, today he made his intentions clear. He'll pick up the phone to Peters if he absolutely has to. Bouncing up and down in big blue machinery, not even a pole drop could wipe the grin off his face.
I'm on my happy place.
Christopher Luxon seizing a dream.
No, this is just every boy's dream to jump into a big tractor like this.
But this boy's dream is actually jumping behind the wheel of the country, and that dream is just within reach. Though it's going to be a stretch.
For New Zealanders watching this, I want them to understand there's a lot at stake here. There's an awful lot at risk. This will be a close election.
Relentlessly on message.
They should definitely go blue. Yeah, preferably two blues would be good.
And today, rolling out a new one.
My strong preference is to form a strong and stable two-party coalition government between National and ACT.
Making his intentions clear, he will work with Winston, but he doesn't want to.
However, if New Zealand First is returned to Parliament and I need to pick up the phone to Mr Peters to keep Labor and the coalition of chaos out, I will make that call.
And he better put Peters on speed dial. On this poll, he's back in the saddle.
And this is not our first rodeo.
And cantering back to kingmaker status.
People want accountability and they want common sense and they want experience back. And above all, they want somebody to keep them honest.
So Luxon needs these foes to become friends.
Could you work with Winston Peters?
Well, it's pretty clear from his track record he struggles to work with really anybody.
Do you respect David Seymour?
No. Sorry.
Faced with a choice of 3 years of Te Pāti Māori, Greens and Labor together, a genuine coalition of chaos, that is something that only in those circumstances would I pick up the phone to New Zealand First.
But voters think his own three-headed coalition would be one of chaos. We asked, do you think a three-party National ACT New Zealand First government would be a stable or a chaotic government? And a hulking majority, 63% said chaotic. Just 26.4% thought the ragtag right would be stable.
I think most New Zealanders understand more stability would come with a two-party coalition government, as we have seen in our past.
What do you think about Winston Peters? What would you think of a National New Zealand First ACT Party coalition?
No, I don't think it would work.
Would you like National to work with Winston Peters?
Well, I think they could if they needed to, but they'd have to get some good ground rules.
My preference is a strong, stable, two-party coalition government formed with National and ACT parties.
So could it be chaotic?
My preference is to make sure we deliver a National-led government.
This one not afraid to drop the C-bomb and build a chaotic picture of the right.
A National ACT New Zealand First government would, by David Seymour's own admission, be a right-wing circus. I think they would struggle to put a budget together.
Pitching himself as the stable one, referring to his stagnating and devastating poll result.
Labor's votes have actually been relatively stable. National ACT are coming down again.
ACT in particular crashing. Seymour's been lashing out at Peters at National, threatening chaotic government arrangements.
What do you put that fall down to?
It's actually still a good result for ACT. It shows the election is going to be deadly close.
Deadly close, and National pulling out all the stops to point voters in a two-party direction.
All political leaders will learn in time that the voter decides this, not them and not me.
So let the chaotic coalition cobbling begin. Just don't leave the negotiation refreshments up to Luxon.
Well, OK, Jenna, we haven't heard yet the preferred Prime Minister numbers. Are there any glimmers of good luck in there for Labor?
If those party vote numbers weren't gutting enough for Labor, the public is pouring salt in the wound. For the first time in 6 years, their leader is not the most popular. Christopher Luxon is on 24%, up 1.5. Chris Hipkins trailing way back 19.1%, down 3.4. Luxon has 5 points on him. The foes who must become friends, David Seymour and Winston Peters, now level pegging on 6.1 and 6 respectively. Chloe Swarbrick is gaining on 4.4. But as political reporter Amelia Wade explains, although Chris Hipkins' popularity is plummeting, the public wants him to stick it out for the election.
Oh, yes. Another day, another sausage, but oh dear, Chris Hipkins has run out of takers.
We seem to have exhausted demand.
He still rates what he's serving up though.
I'm here to please.
Hipkins might be pleased with himself, but voters aren't. He's tanked in the preferred Prime Minister rankings, now 5 points behind Christopher Luxon.
I acknowledge it's been a really challenging period of time for New Zealanders lately with the cost of living.
Why are you more popular than Chris Hipkins?
Look, it's really about New Zealanders wanting to say, have we got leadership, energy and a team that actually can get this job done for New Zealand?
But Hipkins reckons he's still the one for the job.
I've got a fair bit of weight in them.
And Kiwis think he is too. We asked, do you think Chris Hipkins is the best person to lead the Labour Party? 56% said yes, while just 25% said no.
Are you the right person to be leading the Labour Party?
Yes.
How come?
I've been in the job for 7 months, just over 7 months now. I'm just getting started.
We also tested voters' feelings on whether Labour should do a Hail Mary, asking should Labour change their leader before the election. Only 17% said yes, while the majority, 69%, said stick it out.
Have you ever considered just walking away?
Never.
It's never crossed your mind?
Never.
But Labour is holding back the left bloc.
Is Labour letting you down in terms of getting into government?
Look, we are just focusing on our campaign. It's a really positive campaign focused on the future for New Zealand, and clearly people are responding to that.
Labour today looked to shore up swing voters concerned about climate change, releasing a climate manifesto.
We have a proven track record of reducing New Zealand's greenhouse gas emissions, and because we've got a plan, a concrete plan that we've set out that's going to continue to do that.
Labour's climate manifesto largely consists of work it's already doing or has announced, like putting more solar panels on more homes and the clean car discount. But releasing it all in one big chunk also serves as a stick to beat National with.
We are not seeing anything from the National Party which will reduce emissions in New Zealand.
We want to roll out 10,000 public electric vehicle chargers by 2030.
And the EV charger stuff is happening anyway. In fact, there was money in this year's budget for the rollout of an EV charging network.
Labour hoping voters will focus more on climate change than their apparent mood for political change. Amelia Wade, Newshub.
Well, Jenna, pretty grim reading for Labour. Is this it for them?
Well, the right bloc is losing seats and now needs Winston, which comes with a very challenging and, according to the public, chaotic consequences of its own. At least Luxon still has New Zealand First as an option on the table. Hipkins has said no to that. He cannot phone a friend to get out of this, and the conversation is now moving away from whether or not Labour can win to how badly they might lose. 26.5 is utterly devastating, and if this is their result in 3 weeks' time, they risk losing major names. Defence Minister Andrew Little, their Speaker Adrian Rudafi, Transport Minister David Parker, Māori Development Minister Willie Jackson, Health Minister Aisha Verrill. A couple of weird electorate wins or drop a couple of points, they are getting dangerously close to losing Finance Minister Grant Robertson. That spells Absolute carnage, political Armageddon. Time Labour turned its mind to saving the furniture.
Political editor Jen Lynch, tēnā koe.